Lexie, it is great seeing you. How are you doing? And, throughout this whole COVID-19 stuff. And also,
Oh,
how's John doing too?
we're great. We're great. So we've been writing like crazy, as I'm sure most musicians have, because you're stuck indoors, you can't tour, you can't even go outside at this point. So we're just hauling down in the studio and churning out some good stuff. And I think that there was like a block at the front of everything, like it was sort of just emotionally just a bit of a stop at the front of COVID. And I think now that we've become true introverts in this process, we're like happy to explore some of those emotions, and it's everything's flowing again. It feels really nice. It feels really nice to be creative and not feel like I'm missing the spring because I can't go outside because I'm stuck in the studio. It's the opposite now. It's like, well, I have to be inside. I'm going to make the most of it.
Well, good to hear. I got to ask you
Yeah.
though too, what do you think about the things that we've seen and experienced throughout 2020 and some of 2021? Black Lives Matters, what was going on in the U.S., the shootings that have been happening, the terms Kevin and Karen's, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, get the shot, I don't want the shot, it's conspiracy. Like so many things have happened in just
So many things.
in like 13, 14 months.
Yeah, no, it honestly feels like we've like entered the bad timeline. It feels like we like tripped into another dimension or something like that. But like it's been enlightening. I think some of the movements that have come up during this time, especially Black Lives Matter and like movements, have really just sort of like become part of the public conversation. It's no longer like a thing where it's like, hey, this too. Like I feel all the time that the presence of that and such movements is just like ever present now, and it's a beautiful thing. Because I don't know, before it was like people just grabbing for your different attention, like look at me, and like now it's like sit down and shut up and like focus, like look at what needs to be at the forefront right now. And I think that there's been some really impactful things happening. Likewise, there've been some, you know, conversations like the mask no mask conversation that have been a little bit tumultuous. And when it comes to things like that, I love to turn to science as a rational perspective. But you know, I think that everyone's entitled to their opinion, of course, but don't try to impose it on people. Like let people have their opinions and sit down and focus. Like really gather data for yourself and decide what side you want to be on.
Absolutely. You talked about awareness, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things that have happened in the last 13, 14 months. And even a little bit even before that too, with the women's movement taking a new initiative, and again with Black Lives Matters and how we're looking at racism these days too. Another thing is sexual abuse has been something that needs to be in the forefront even more and talking about this. And actually, in a lot of ways, and what was going on with the women's movement, that was a really strong subject there too. And this is why we're talking, because of a very important and brave new single that you both have put out. And this is something that has happened to you in your past. Talk a little bit about this, please, and talk about as we lead into the single.
Yeah, so this is something, when you see the video, I think you'll come to understand that this is something that happened to me from 11 to 17 years old. So it wasn't a one-time thing. It went on for a long time, and it was with somebody I trusted, somebody I thought I loved, somebody in a position of power over me. And they always talk about like, oh, like go tell a teacher. Like if you feel like unsafe, or if you feel like like go tell a teacher. What if it is a teacher? You know what I mean? So it can put you in a really difficult spot. I think that there's an enormous and unsettling amount of people who've gone through such experiences, be it as a child, be it as a woman, be it as a man or a trans person, somebody non-binary, right? In any race, any gender identity. There's just been so much of this, and there's such a stigma of shame that surrounds the whole thing. It feels like you can't talk about it. It's just this like scar that you carry with you. But I've put in my time and put in the work to try to get to a place in my healing process where I'm confronting these emotions and I'm confronting this shame that I put on myself and trying to heal, at least through my art. So my goal in all this is to bring forward a piece where it starts a discussion, so that people who've been through such things feel comfortable at least opening up, recognizing that it's even happened to them. They don't need to come forward and like talk about, like, have all the floodgates open all at once, but it just starts with a conversation. And it's a hard conversation. I know I only told my parents at the end of 2019 was the first time I told them. And this happened when I was in middle school, and I'm obviously well removed since then. So it's been a journey, and I'm lucky to have had the support that I've had along the way, especially from my bandmate, my partner, John. And now I feel like it's time to grab the bull by the horns and just like go on this kind of crusade, this like journey for the betterment of myself and others like me.
Why was this the right time to tell your family? And also, why was this the right time to write and release this single and music video?
As far as telling my family, I came out about a few things that day. I can't remember what sparked it so much. It was such an emotional time for me. It was like a big wave of release just happened. Maybe I intuitively knew that 2020 was going to be crazy and that I needed to like forge this last bond before, because it happened right before, like November was when COVID cases were, historically starting, and then in 2020 everything just went right off the rails. But I think I came out about being bi that day, despite being married. I came out being about this experience, what had happened to me, and I just felt like it was time that they needed to get to know me. And similarly in my career, more recently, I felt like a few things just sort of lined up in my career where I was finally in a position to do something about it. It had been like trickling out of me all the while. In 2018 was actually when we wrote the song, The Blame, and then released The Blame on the 2020 record Dream Riot. And it was totally wrong. Like I just wasn't ready to deal with it. It was sung in a style that wasn't appropriate. The track wasn't appropriate. And I think I was just like, if I can put the words out there, it'll make a ripple effect of, just like letting that go, and that'll be enough. And I wasn't right about that. It wasn't enough, and it just sort of grabbed me and pulled me in. And then in 2021, we finally wrote the track, and we actually were still working on the track the day we were shooting the music video, which is wild. That never happens, because I was so unhappy with how the track was sitting with relation to the story that I felt I just needed to tear it down and start again. And I couldn't be happier with how it turned out now.
Let's talk about it again. The Blame. Describe the video for us, please, and also lyrically the story that we are witnessing as we are watching this video.
Yeah, the story is a combination of dark and light. It's a combination of innocence and, in my case, femininity, and bringing those things into the picture in a way that's wholesome and beautiful and innocent, right? Even down to the clothing. So all of this was my conception. The art in it, I co-directed it, I produced it. I did all the set building, all the props, all the design for it, everything. It was my baby, and I do that for most of the music videos that I put out. They're often my conception. I think they're all my conception, but but this one was so different because it's like no one knows my story to the full extent, just me and my abuser. That's who know my story. So it's my turn to come to the picture with the images that I want to put forward, and right down to the costume design. Like in the beginning, we see me at a little desk in sort of a school setting, and it's the exact same kind of desk I grew up with as a student, which was, you know, resonating, right? And I'm wearing this really see-through, sort of a really modern costume, but it's see-through like cellophane, right? You can see right through me. I'm like this like whisper of a person, like you just see right through to the other side because I'm so exposed, right? I'm just putting it all out there. And then again, we see my inner child. I'm actually dancing in this music video, which is something I've never done. And I'm not very trained to do, but it just didn't feel right not to like express in every way that my body could what I needed to express, as I get very emotional. And yeah, so I'm dancing around in like an oversized t-shirt because just strip it down to its bare bones, just like we did with the song. I just wanted to expose that innocence, that youth, right? The longevity of this story. And then we contrast that in the next scene with a birthday party, but it's not a birthday party like you'd imagine. It's not colorful and playful with like happy balloons. It's like dark, like a funeral, right? There's a black cake in the middle, and you can see the ages in the candles, 11 through 17, reel through at the end of that scene. And then directly after that, we go into the spider web. We've interspliced in this video origami that I made, a snake, spider, predators, you know, but not high predators, not like a panther that's like some like big giant beast that you know gotta fight off. Like predators that are just gonna sneak up on you, predators that would groom you to be in a position that I was put into. And then we see me caught up in a spider web of magnetic tape, which is a beautiful thing because I'm caught up in the music of it all. There's a line in the song that goes, "It's just like music through my brain. It's driving me insane." And I think that speaks to the person that this was in my life. I think with all the imagery and the pencils pointing at me and that other chorus, you can sort of put together without me having to say it who this person may have been in my life. And then I get to confront it in the scene to follow. I get to smash through this invisible barrier of all the words that I've imposed on myself, all the blame that I've taken on to myself. I just smash right through it and rip down the magnetic tape that I've been so tangled up in. And that's me in the present coming into my own.
How has this helped you being able to put this all together and putting it out there the way you have? And congratulations on this, because this is something that's very, very brave. And at the same time, how do you hope that this is going to help others who have either gone through it or presently going through this?
This is therapy for me. So my art is my therapy. Some people have asked me, have I seen a therapist about this? I actually haven't, and it's probably something I should do. I've seen other kinds of therapists, like I've been to a hypnotherapist for this sort of an issue. I see a naturopath, these kinds of holistic approaches. But moreover than anybody talking me through it, I'm a really like hard-headed, strong, single-minded person. I feel like I'm the person that needs to talk me through this, right? I'm the one that's going to be there for me, as I've always been. So excuse me. So I feel like it's my job to bring this art as my therapy, right? So I can do this for me, for others, to start a conversation. And I'm not original in doing this, right? There are other people that have started this conversation, but just like, you know, other movements that have come up in 2020, like we were just talking about, it's time to open that up in a more real, more wholesome way where we can start to see it in art, and not every song is about a dance party or like escapism and like all this. Like, what about the art that's real, you know? So that
And
um
and then I
you had
want
a second part to your question too. Can you remind me what that was?
I'm going to go back in a second, but I want to add in the other part too. I think is really important also is, people not realizing what other people have gone through. So people who try to sometimes make judgments on other people, you got to go, wait a second. You have no idea what this person has been going through, what has happened in their life. So don't judge very quickly if somebody is acting a certain way or doing a certain thing or whatever. This is the best example to talk about. Um, Again, prejudging people, because like I said, I've known you and both you and John for a long time, and I would never in a million years have thought that you have gone through something like this. My heart just breaks for you for something like this. um
You're killing me.
well,
Thank you, Rudy.
it's what, like I said, and I'm serious when I say what you're doing and what you've done and discussing this with me and everybody out there is so important. What are you hoping that people who are going through this right now get from this? Either going through it right now, who have gone through this. What are you hoping for them using this as a pathway?
I hope that they know that it's never too late to heal. It's never too late to take the next step in your journey. Um, and if you feel like you're holding on to some sort of secret, whether you're in the moment and you're a child going through this, you feel like I have this secret, like maybe stop and consider why it is a secret. You know, what's secret about it? And is that right? Like if you told your mom, why would it be wrong? You know, and and don't immediately assume that she wouldn't accept you for that. Or if you have a friend that you want to confide in, like I was really lucky during this process to have a friend who knew about it every step of the way, which I think is something that a lot of people don't have. We were really young, we didn't understand what was going on, but for me it just validates everything, because you know time passes and you're like, whoa, was that really something that happened? Like, can that really even be the case? Is that reality. And, I recently touched base with her. I was borrowing a prop for another music video actually when we were making Million Things. And when I returned the prop to her, I got up the courage to be like, hey, do you remember what happened? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, when did you figure out what was going on? And she's like, maybe last year. How crazy is that?
Well,
I'm in my late 20s. Like, how crazy is that? This happened when I was 11 to 17. So, be gentle with yourself. And just, I have to hammer home that, someone's going to believe you and it's never too late. And you're so not alone. And if you want me to be the person that believes you, I'm here for it. That's why I did this, baby. Like, this is all I wanted, was to get my message out there so that me and others like me can begin to heal.
and there are places too that people can contact and call if you don't feel comfortable talking to family or friends.
Yep. We are hopefully embarking on some sort of campaign with Kids Help Phone, because that was the one that came to front of mind when I was trying to figure out if there was any resources that we should be tagging in the end of this, not only to give context for the video, but also so that anyone watching it who felt that it was poignant would have some call to action for them. So kidshelpphone.ca is a fantastic resource, and all their information is on their website there. There's also a place where you can call like for free via Skype. You don't even need a phone if you're young enough to not have a phone. There's just a button you can press. You could text them, you can call them. Their phone number is 1-800-668-6868, and they're going to be there for you. Somebody is going to be there for you on the other end.
Like I said, amazing song, amazing video, amazing message. Thank you again for being so brave in writing this, in putting this out there the way you have, and the fact that as we're going through so many things, um, and you yourself going through so much, still willing to be helping so many other people out there. Thank you so, so much for this.
Thank you, Rudy. It's been a joy. It's been so cathartic, and I'm so moved that anybody is willing to talk about it, because I know what a heavy topic it is, and I know how much unrest it can bring. But for the people out here who've been through this, I just think it's so important. I know for me, it was so important.
Big love to you and Joan.
Thank you. You're the best.